One more observation here. If the president didn't know who Proud Boys were and Joe Biden just threw out the name, if he didn't know who they were, why did he denounce them? Why didn't he say, well, I don't know who they are. Can you give me a little bit more information about them and then make a decision about it? So this all remains very puzzling. And for all of you on Twitter who are hammering me for asking that question, I don't care, because it's a question that needs to be asked. And clearly, the president's Republican colleagues a mile away from here are looking for an answer for it, too. So stop deflecting. Stop blaming the media. I'm tired of it.
All right.
If you were wondering when even those on the right would start losing their patience with the Trump administration's shameless pandering to far-right hate groups, you just got your answer. This is Fox News' chief White House correspondent John Roberts coming off an uncharacteristically tense exchange with Kayleigh McEnany.
I'd like to ask you for a definitive and declarative statement without ambiguity or deflection. As the person who speaks for the president, does the president denounce white supremacism and groups that espouse it in all their forms?
This has been answered yesterday by the president himself, the day before by the president himself on the debate stage. The president was asked this. He said, sure, 3 times. Yesterday, he was point blank asked, do you denounce white supremacy? And he said, I've always denounced any form of that. I can go back and read for you in August 2019, in one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. In August of 2017, racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists, and other hate groups. I have an entire list of these quotes that I can go through with you. He has condemned white supremacy more than any president in modern history.
But just to clear it up this morning, can you, naming it, make a declarative statement that you denounce, that the president denounces it?
I just did. The president has denounced this repeatedly. The president was asked this. You're contriving a storyline and a narrative.
I'm just asking you to put this to rest.
I just did. I read you all of the quotes, and if you need to see them in writing, I will put them in an email. Hold on.
So, Kayleigh, can you right now denounce white supremacy and the groups that espouse it?
I just did. The president has denounced white supremacy, the KKK, and hate groups in all forms. He signed a resolution to that effect. The president just last week, perhaps you all weren't covering it, but just last week expressed his desire to see the KKK prosecuted as domestic terrorists. This president had advocated for the death penalty for a white supremacist, the first federal execution in 17 years. His record on this is unmistakable.
In other words, all Kayleigh McEnany had to do was denounce white supremacists. That's it. Just an unambiguous denunciation to finally put this issue to rest. And yet all Kayleigh could bring herself to do was to relitigate some old quotes that Trump said in the past. The fact is that when given this softball to ultimately help herself and Trump, Kayleigh McEnany refused to do so. Think about why that is. The reason she won't denounce these people is because these are the very people that this campaign is targeting. These are the very people that this campaign is counting on to deliver them a second term. This is their base. If the Trump administration legitimately denounced these people, they'd be alienating the very voters they've been pandering to for the entirety of Trump's political career. Trump started the birther conspiracy against Obama. He took office on the promise of enacting a Muslim ban. He ran on erecting a wall to keep Mexicans out. He claimed a Latino judge couldn't be impartial. He refused to condemn David Duke. He said there were fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. He's still referring to coronavirus as the China virus or the Kung flu. He floated the idea that Kamala Harris isn't a citizen and told 4 non-white American congresswomen to go back to their countries. He's gone to bat to defend Confederate flags. The list goes on and on. But the point here is that Trump's entire presidency is steeped in not only dog whistles to white nationalists and white supremacists, but outright bullhorns for them. And bear in mind, it's not just this administration. The entire Republican Party is so intertwined in Trumpism that they too have to pander to these people out of fear of abandoning what has effectively become their base. Just today, Senate Republicans blocked a unanimous vote on a resolution condemning white supremacy. Their excuse was that the committees of jurisdiction needed to look at it and consider their, quote, equities. If there was any doubt as to where the GOP stands, that right there should put it to rest. I should point out too that a lot of John Roberts' anger here is directed at Fox News viewers who are indignant at the fact that Roberts even asked Kayleigh McEnany that question. And he responds by telling them to stop blaming the media. And he's right, but he should also think long and hard about what network it was that has helped stoke this anti-media sentiment in this country. I don't think he'd have to look too far for his answer. The point is that normally I would say to focus on the actions of this administration and not their words. But in this case, even their words betray their true priorities here. All of the obfuscations and deflections and whataboutisms aside, you don't have to look any further than the fact that when given the chance to do something that 99% of Americans would do in a heartbeat, to disavow white supremacists, to put this issue to rest once and for all, Kayleigh McEnany, in her official position as the spokesperson for this president, refused to do that. I would just say listen when this administration is telling you something, because what they're telling you here is that these people are exactly who they're trying to appeal to. While you're here, please subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deeper dive into the week's biggest stories and interview major players in the world of politics, like Kamala Harris, Adam Schiff, Katie Porter, Nancy Pelosi, Cory Booker, Eric Swalwell, and many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.